In the last video, we saw that we needed to be able to allocate memory for variables that would persist beyond the end of the function in which the variables were declared. We saw that C's malloc provides this ability by allocating memory on the heap. In this video, we will present a longer example involving malloc. Together, we are going to write a program that creates an array that holds the squares of the integers between 1 and 10 inclusive. You possibly already saw something similar to this in a rehearse question. In this problem, we want to store these squares in an array. And more importantly, we want to write a helper function to build the array of squares. Our function will be called squares, and it will take one parameter, the largest squared value to be stored in the array. The variable squares to 10 is of type pointer to int. It will hold the address of the first element of the array holding the squares. Once we've called our function and the array is created, we can loop over the array to print out the values in the normal way. Now let's get to the important part. Where is the memory for this array being allocated? This variable declaration allocates space for the address of one int. That space is on the stack. It will store the address of our array, or, more precisely, the address of the first element of our array. But this statement does not allocate space for the array itself. Instead, we need to allocate the array inside our function. Let's write the function now. We will use malloc to allocate space on the heap for the array. The void pointer it returns is being assigned to an int pointer, since we're allocating space for an int array. Let's go over this again. The memory for the pointer result, with space for one integer pointer, is on the stack. It is in the frame for squares, and it is safe to use until the function squares returns. But the memory pointed to by result, which we allocated with malloc, is on the heap, and it will be usable after the function returns. So how much space should we allocate? What parameter do we give malloc? We need space for max val integers. So should we put max val here? No, that would only allocate max val bytes, and integers are more than 1 byte each. Instead, use size of int times max val. That way, the amount will be correct even if you run your program on a machine with different sized integers from the one on which you wrote your code. Now we can loop over our array and set the squares. This should be easy for you now. Notice that result was type int star, but we are accessing result using the array notation. Code is usually easier to read using array notation, so we recommend using it rather than pointer notation where possible. Now, what should we return from the function? Result is the address of our newly created array on the heap. That's what we need to pass back to main. The variable result itself is local to squares, but its value, the address of the array on the heap, will be copied to the variable squares to 10 and then used in the printf statements we wrote earlier. You can download and run this code to see that it works as expected.